Good morning. Today is March 26, I believe, 2024. It's about 5:45, 5:45, and we continue with Tanya, Chaim Miller's book on Rabbi Shnia Zalman Tzoliadi. Yesterday we talked about the similarity between different religions, between Judaism and Catholicism, and we found apparently unrelated topics that actually end up being related. So we're now in chapter 30 after 53 of Tanya. We talked about now. Tanya mentions the similarity between someone who is very, very observant and then slips and makes a mistake, and then with somebody who is not too observant and makes a lot of mistakes according to the Torah. And basically, Tanya comes to a conclusion that it's all the same in light of God. So it's not like I'm more observant than him, or he's more observant than she, and so forth. The higher you fly, the greater responsibilities. Tanya is saying essentially that it's like a spring. The spring is not compressed. If the thing is very, very compressed, then if you miss it, then the rebound is so much greater. So responsibility, like Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't allowed to come to Eretz Israel because he made what many would think a very small, negligible mistake. And yet Hashem said, God said, from your standpoint, from your level, it's a miss. So it equates the problems of relatively small nature and big natures according to your potential. If your potential is greater, then a small slip for you, it's a big slip for somebody else. Then Tanya continues to the chapter how to handle depression and bitterness. Depression and bitterness. That's chapter 31. And in chapter 31, it's talking about the depression. Yes, Tanya is talking about the way to handle your problems. It's saying you have to have a complete session. So we talked about yesterday. You have to have a complete sessions, not to be depressed all the time, but every so often, every day or every Tuesday at 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. or whatever the time is, you sit down and quote unquote, you make yourself miserable by thinking about the misses and problems you cause to yourself, to God, to other people. It goes counter to the modern Western logic of psychology that, listen, just handle yourself. Well, Tanya is saying that listen to your mind, not your heart. Also counter to the Western phrase, follow your heart. No, Tanya says that follow your brain, not your heart. Your good divine soul is in your brain, not in your heart. Let your brain override the impulses of your heart. But the how to overcome depression and problems, it's called ego deflation method, in saying, in the old days, like Kabbalists used to sit and also in a movement of Luzzato's movement of Midot, they used to sit on the floor for hours and say, I'm nothing, I'm miserable, I'm horrible, and this and this. Well, today we can say, well, that's what monks sometimes do it with special groups of monks. They will put chains and difficult movement restricting clothes, and they will whip themselves with a chains or with the ropes and humiliate yourself. Let's say, this is Judaism? We don't do that. Well, actually, Tanya says, yes, they did. They did do it physically, like beating themselves, but they mentally said that I retrospect what I did, and I find how not just nice it is, but how horrible it did. Well, it sounds like conflict with the psychological values that society today in the 21st century would get. It's hard to imagine. But what Tanya really means is that when you think about psychologically, if you don't address your past, you can live your life normally, but the past is still suppressed somewhere. It still doesn't fully release you. So Tanya says, address your issues. Address it face on. Look in the mirror of your life and come to terms with the fact that you did something very horrible and feel for some time, maybe for an hour or so, very bad about it. But don't feel that for the rest of the day, the rest of your life. That's what Tanya's saying. So, and I think modern psychologists would agree. Once you reach to the bottom of the issue and then realize what it is, then you can move forward. Then you can move forward. And from that point on, Tanya's saying that don't hang on to it forever. And depression, what, on the other hand, is paralyzing. It's a destructive form of grief that leads to apathy and numbing of feeling. Instead of stimulating growth, it results in despair and self-pity, fueling a vicious cycle of deterioration. That is why it must not be allowed to linger. So, Tanya continues from the section 3 of chapter 31 of meditation from bitterness to joy. So, sometimes, practical lessons, Rabbi Miller quotes here, sometimes negativity needs to be met with negativity. A short bout of depression, depressive thoughts can knock you out of the bad state. In Russian, there is an expression, klin klinem vyshybayit. The wedge gets moved out, kicked out by another wedge. So you have to think about what you did negatively. Oh, it was horrible. Not just, it's okay, negatively. But have it in a short time, not continuously. That's the difference. So not addressing your past is not good. Addressing it too much and sit and dwell on it causes OCD, depression, all sorts of mental issues. And then physicality, physical problems follow that. But you have to be in between. You have to address it fully, but for a short time, and move over. And as Tanya said before, and from that standpoint on, once you analyze it and did your best you can, said, I'm exhausted today. I completely exhausted my mental analysis. From that standpoint on, consider that God has forgiven you. Now, that's of course, if it's a transgression between you and God. If it's between you and person, you have to go to the person and ask forgiveness. Even if you screwed something up for many months or many years, you have to have enough courage and deflate your ego and go ask forgiveness to that person. That you have to do. There's no substitute for that. It's not a Catholicism that you can go to a priest and ask forgiveness for somebody that you really wronged. And the priest says, okay, do 100 push-ups, and you average, okay. No, you have to go to that person and ask forgiveness and fix it. And if you stole money, return it. If you stole a car, return it. If you did something wrong, burned somebody's house, pay for that. So you have to do that. But then after that, you have to go to God and have this session, and after that you will be clean and your conscience will be clear. No longer think about the past. Well, did I really do full forgiveness? Well, if your confession, that's what we discussed yesterday, similar to Catholicism in a sense, kind of. If you really completely made that forgiving of yourself session, then don't move back and dwell on it. That's what the Tanya finishes. And now we're going to the sections of meditation from bitterness to joy, how then come up to the surface and live, and how they make this teshuvah to essentially become repent and to become forgiven, to have done teshuvah, to live in life with ease. So we talked about these different methods, how to handle your depression, how to handle problems. And tomorrow we'll talk about it. How do you handle with somebody still? We'll talk about wronged you and continues wronging you. How do you handle that? That's what we're going to talk tomorrow. All right, have a great day.